place that we inhabit. If we really stop and think about it, it's pretty impressive. What's even more impressive is that for thousands of years, the Earth has just kind of been doing its thing. Every autumn, leaves that once gave life to a tree now turn magnificent colors and fall to the ground. Each morning, the sun comes up over the Cascades, and each night, it sets over the Olympic Mountains with awe-inspiring views of the Sound. But the Earth also does horrendous things. Just recently, there were huge forest fires in Southern California, and before that, the hurricanes in the Gulf and in Louisiana, and before that, tidal waves knocking out entire cities and parts of countries. Worldwide, there are 332 natural disasters every year. That's almost one a day. The Earth is an odd thing, isn't it? In one part, a farmer can be combing his field for grain, and in another part, a fire can be destroying a house. But either way we look at it, we are connected to this stuff. There is no escaping that reality. Now let's talk people. The other day I was watching a movie. It was a movie about a young man who was fresh out of college, and he wanted to go on the adventure of a lifetime. So he sold his car, gave away all his money, and burned his Social Security card, and headed out for the ultimate trip. The remainder of the story can be looked at from a variety of ways. One of these involves his relationship with the human race. As he travels from place to place, he lives out two things simultaneously. The first is that he can't stand people. He just wants to be in the Alaska wilderness by himself, doing his thing, living on his time frame all by himself. The second is that he is incredibly dependent upon people. How does he end up getting to Alaska? Well, a farmer in the Great Plains gives him money so that he can hitchhike and buy food. Hippies on the West Coast drive him up the coast. And when he gets to Canada, people teach him survival skills and continue to drive him all the way up to Alaska. In fact, in his final hours, his last recorded words are, "Happiness is not true unless it is shared." People are odd things, aren't we? In one breath we can say, "Please help me," and in the next we can say, "But don't get too close." But either way we look at it, we are somehow connected to each other. There is no escaping that reality. In a world of globalization and mass distribution, the best way to remind us that we are connected to the Earth is to be a hyper-local business. It isn't often these days that we hear of companies that exist for a neighborhood and the people in that neighborhood. In fact, the number one reason people become entrepreneurs is because they're sick of having a boss. A good, but incredibly individualistic reason. The number two reason why people go into business for themselves is to make a better profit, and therefore make more money for themselves. Yet another, often good, but individualistic reason. So I ask the question, what if a company, an employee-owned company, decided to flip globalization on its rear end and existed for the betterment of life within a neighborhood and all those it affected? What if money wasn't the sole reason for going into business, but somehow became a beautiful byproduct of doing great, hyper-local business? The image of beer in this country is not a great one, and at times, even I am ashamed to be in the same business as the people that advertise their products with women and the allure of power. These images and these metaphors are powerful and act upon us in ways we may not even be cognitive to. Therefore, these images need to be changed. And I believe by doing so, a new respect will slowly build for the authority that beer and alcohol have over us. Gluttony is much more difficult when the images that drive us are images of wholeness and connection instead of hypersexuality. Inebriation is much more difficult to pursue when one understands the value of beer to society. How many of us have a coffee shop that we walk into almost every morning and order the same drink? Now, how many of us enjoy it when the employees at this store begin to know our name, our rhythm, and our drink? So at some point along the way, when we walk into that coffee shop, as soon as the barista sees us, They begin to make our drink and have it ready, labeled, and may even strike up a short conversation with us about yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Part of the beauty of a hyper-local company is ownership in the business, and ownership then creates community and involvement. For a product or multiple products to be birthed out of conversation that happened in the community, or to be produced specifically for an event in the community or in remembrance of an event. All of these create ownership in the business, and slowly people want to get involved in places where the business has a say. In this way, a business can act as a local social glue. This is even more true when the business is in the form of a beverage. Because how often have you gone to a gathering where there isn't anything to drink? My guess would be never. Beverages are the social glue of many events. If you ever want to gather large groups of people, offer free beer. I guarantee you will have many more people attend than you have ever had before. Everybody needs to do their part. This is mine.